Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ, you're here on the home of the slightly above average ship review. Got a capture the base match on the big race, and I am in the new Tier 2 Premium Pan-Asian Destroyer Longjiang. And there you get a look at the teams. We are down tier. Unfortunately, going to wiki.wargaming.net. In 1913, this destroyer was ordered from Germany in order to reinforce the Republic of China Navy with up-to-date ships. She was never built, but her design formed the basis for German V-25 destroyers. I want to say, I think the picture in the title card is actually of a 1914 destroyer design as that same kind of raised bow area. You got 3 main battery guns and 2 twin deep water torpedo launchers. Here you can see your torpedo range is almost a kilometer more than your main battery range. So you got to focus on torpedoes here in the ship, but in the same other side of the coin, I guess, your torpedoes cannot damage enemy destroyers because they're deep water torpedoes. So this lends to a really awkward situation here for me in this match. I don't want to gunfight any other destroyer, A, because I'm down tier, B, because I'm going to be outgunned by just about everything. I have no support over on this side of the match, not that I was waiting for support. You guys know me, you know the way I play. I rarely need support before embarking on my game plan for the match. And so my thought was go wide, avoid the enemy destroyers, which you can see there on the minimap. There is one in a minute. There is the other one. And so we're skirting around them to get into the backfield. Now, if this was a match with only a couple of destroyers, or maybe it was a Tier 2 and a Tier 1 match, maybe I would have played a little bit differently. But for right now, we are using avoidance, and we're using this really lengthy speed boost to, quote, get into the backfield, unquote, of the enemy team. I was actually hoping to find the aircraft carrier. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. What also isn't going to work is that our team is getting their ass kicked right now. So before we actually start doing anything, I do want to let you know that when you're looking at this ship, HE and AP shell velocity, 715 meters per second. The shell, HE shell weight 18 kilos, the AP shell weight 18.2 kilos, and the max dispersion 78 meters, if those stats mean anything to you. We're finally spotted by an enemy destroyer. I will use my guns to light him up and kill him. Then we're going to go bow on over here to the Bogatyr and the Kuma so we can avoid their incoming fire. At least until we drop spot. Actually, I'm going to flare out here and drop some torps just to see what they can do. And then he hit the island, it looks like. So they're probably all going to miss. And this destroyer, instead of coming after me, hunting me down, forcing me out of the area, you're seeing a beginner's mistake by the Kuma captain. He doesn't realize that he is literally built to kill me. And so he's going to play very passively. And that's going to allow me to keep sending torpedoes towards these 2 ships and keep moving. I got to say this ship is pretty quick. Although it doesn't have the front-mounted torpedo launchers of the German version. It's a sneaky torpedo boat, just that. You can't torpedo the enemy destroyers. So be cautious in your engagements with enemy destroyers. Fight the wounded ones like I did. More torpedoes in the water. They reload pretty quickly. The cruiser dodged them. The Wyoming out here, I swear it was a Bogatyr earlier. Maybe I just misread it. The Wyoming does eat 1 torpedo. However, much to my chagrin, he is not flooding or anything. But they reload so quickly that really it's not a big deal to keep shooting him out there at the enemy ships. Now that being said, He did move forward and dodge them. This Kuma, I think, is just messing with me at this point. Finally, he's going to turn out here and try to get a hold of me. And I'm just going to turn around and go back the other way. Meanwhile, you can see, I believe, in the middle of the screen, the carrier is making a break for it through the middle of the screen. So I'm going to keep torping at the Kuma while doing a tactical retreat. The Wyoming has turned to starboard and is leaving the area. And really, at this point, I'm just going to have to deal with that. I am not interested at this time in engaging the Kuma with my guns, simply because although he doesn't seem to be very competent, I'm still very confident that he could rip me apart if he really decided to target me. So instead, we're just going to shoot more torpedoes. Meanwhile, the other players on the red team who are competent are laying waste to my teammates. So we have lost 5 ships. The red team has just lost 3 ships. And we were responsible for one of those, as you know. All right, continuing our tactical retreat. Torpedoes moving in on the Kuma. The first set of 2 looks like they're going to miss. And we're just going to continue to launch at where we think the Kuma might be. And we do get 1 torpedo strike, and that second set of 2, and took about half of the health. And is the Kuma flooding? Yes, he is flooding, or she. I'm not willing to shoot yet. I'm just going to let that flood go, and that's okay. He's looking for me, and he doesn't know where I am, so I'm going to torp, which worked well for me to this point, and see if I can engage a different ship here in the match. All right, I believe off the port bow is the aircraft carrier. So the aircraft carrier moved very aggressively through the middle of the map. I don't know why, if it was kind of flushed out of where it was at, and that's why it had to do that. You can see, unfortunately for me, the Kuma turned in and dodged all my torpedoes. But I've got a much bigger, healthier target. So I'm going to lay a smoke screen here. And the purpose of that smoke screen is to keep the Kuma from spotting me if I start shooting at the aircraft carrier. Will that work? I don't know, but it seemed like a really good idea at the time. All right, there is the enemy Hosho, and I'm steaming toward him full tilt with my speed boost. Again, a very lengthy speed boost. You only get 2 charges, but it runs for a pretty long time, so definitely use that judiciously. All right, we're spotted. Check out the aim of the secondary on this Hosho. I mean, it's bad. It's like whoever programmed the Miyogi gun accuracy also programmed the Hosho secondary battery accuracy. Half the shells are impacting the water less than 50 feet off the ship. All right, we're going to turn. We are going to torp out 1 towards the rear of the ship. The commander has decided to do the unusual tactic of not moving whatsoever, which may work in some games, but won't work in this one. Dev strike, kill number 2. 3 torpedo strikes is all it took to take out the Hosho. And I am going to do some maneuvering here to avoid the torpedo bomber sortie that's coming in towards me. But again, he dropped them way too soon, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because if he had waited to drop them, then I still would have been able to dodge them. But since he dropped them so far away, they have a huge spread, and it's pretty easy to go right in between them. And I want to say, I think he has 1 plane left. That plane is going to drop a torpedo, and I'm pretty much just going to maneuver out of the way right there and worry about it no more. All right, we are retrograding back towards the cap circle. Still have the Kuma out here. Looks like I've been trying to kill this guy for about half the game at this point. We're going to torp twice at the Kuma, and both those are going to miss. Is it foreshadowing if I tell you what's going to happen before it happens? Yeah, those torpedoes aren't going to hit anything because he has started to maneuver now. Although I know he knows those torpedoes aren't there. Meaning I know he doesn't know they're there. Right. All right, I'm not drunk, honest. All right, Kuma, we're keeping an eye on him. I think the enemy Wyoming is still over there. I am going to pop a couple of shots at the Kuma to see if I can set him on fire. The answer is no. Meanwhile, in a minute, the Wyoming is going to take out my only remaining teammate. And so that's not good, but it's going to happen. And then we'll be 1 versus 2. All right, let's see if we can get it done. Well, we're going to torp anticipating where I think the Kuma is going to be. I thought about switching to armor piercing and didn't. I am not going to be able to maintain the distance to stay hidden. Here is the Kuma. We are going to engage him with HE. Shells are rather floaty. Keep that in mind. It's pretty short range, and they're already floating all over the place. So be wary. We're going to switch to armor piercing, and initially it doesn't do much, but he gives us the full broadside, and we get a couple of Citadel hits and finish him off. All right, here was the disappointing part of this engagement. Well, what's not disappointing is the secondary battery aim of the Wyoming is bad. Not as bad as the Hosho, but still pretty bad. All right, we're going to come up alongside the Wyoming. Main battery be damned. I'm trying to maintain as much of that bow on profile as I can to avoid getting smashed. But we've gotten to the point where I can't do that anymore, and we're going to torp out here as we pass the Wyoming, and we do take some fire. Although we do get 4 torpedo strikes and the high caliber metal, but unfortunately he puts a stop to the flooding. I'm desperately trying to set him on fire here. Unfortunately, while we've been doing all this, the enemy is in our cap circle. They are close to capping, and at this point I realize I need to torp him again in order to sink him. So if any of my other torpedoes had hit the Wyoming, other than the ones that hit the Wyoming, I think we could have put him away here. We're going to launch these torpedoes. I feel supremely confident he wouldn't have gotten out of the way, but at the end of the day, the enemy caps out the base, and I do not get the 4th kill, and of course we don't win the game. All right, here we are on the defeat screen. High caliber metal, devastating strike metal, just short of 80,000 damage on 9 torpedo strikes. 3 big kills, so close to that 4th kill. Really disappointing. The rest of the numbers not inspiring, but again, we're at tier 2. What are you expecting? You know. Now, I know you're all wondering, how did I acquire the Longjiang? And truthfully, I'm not quite sure myself, but I think it was in a package in the Microsoft Store, like the Fresh Start package or something like that. It didn't say it contained a destroyer. I just logged into the game whenever I played this and saw it pop up. I was like, oh shit, I must have got a new destroyer from the store. So go to the store, look for the add-ons for this game. It was free, it didn't cost me any money, and I'm sure you will find it, and you will get a pan-European destroyer in your port. All right, here in the port, speaking of the port, propulsion mod is our only mod for the ship. Taking a look at the loadout, we got 4 charges of the smoke generator and 2 charges of an engine boost that lasts for 2 minutes. Common battle booster for speed, the permanent Type 9 camouflage, and the Crimson Fleet flag. Taking a look at the specs, 77,000 hit points with our build. We got those 3 105 millimeter guns, 7.7 kilometer range, 4.4 second reload, 18 second turn time, HE shells 1200 max damage with a 5% fire chance, AP shells 2300 max damage. And you saw they worked. You know, we shot that cruiser. All right, 2 twin launchers, reload every 28.2 seconds, max damage 9,510, 8.4 kilometer range at 53 knots. The detectability is 1,100 meters. I was hoping the deep water torpedoes would be a little more stealthy than that, but unfortunately they were not. Maneuverability 37.1 knots, 440-meter turning circle, 2.1 second rudder shift time, concealment 4.3 on the surface, 2.5 from the air, 2 kilometers flat when firing from smoke. All right, well, I mean, you just saw the game. In theory, if I never play another game, I'll have a 3.0 kill-death ratio. Main battery accuracy, 72%. It didn't feel that accurate. Nothing special here in the armor viewer. Overview, blah, 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 everything I just told you in the beginning. A reloader, no. No, not with a 4.4 second reload. I got ships with a 1.6 second reload. Give me a break. All right, here's the commander, fully maxed out Deng Shicheng. 4th row skill is not active on tier 2 destroyers. Base trait, quantum of solace, concealment, and torpedo damage. Bay and Swirsky for more concealment. Row 1, subsurface venture, we're a torpedo boat. Row 2, look at me now, more concealment. Row 3, perceptive, you kind of have to run that. Row 4, destroyer be destroyed. But again, that's not active in this tier, so it doesn't really matter. And of course, unstoppable. All right, that is the Longjiang, ladies and gentlemen. A ship that never made it off the paper, but it made it into this game. Thanks.